Welcome. You may close your eyes now and allow your breathing to slow down. Tonight, I will take you on a quiet journey into medieval Europe. But this journey will not be about knights or battles. It will unfold inside the heavy stone walls of a monastery, where life was ordered, repetitive, and bound by silence at first. The idea of a monastery may sound peaceful: candlelight, prayer, quiet corridors. But once you place yourself there, you will see you would not last a single day, because life within these walls was shaped by strict rules, endless rituals, and very little personal freedom. Now imagine yourself walking through a wooden gate. You are wearing a simple robe, holding no possessions. From this moment on, you belong to the monastery. Welcome back to the stone walls. Let your breath slow once more. Let your shoulders soften. Imagine yourself inside a small cell, a room that is intentionally plain. The light here does not hurry. It arrives in narrow beams through a slit of glass, touching dust motes that move like small, slow ships on a dark sea. The air is cool, and the stone beneath you holds the hush of the night. You have slept, not in the way you remember sleeping at home, but in a thin place between wakefulness and ritual. You have not been alone. There are others nearby, doors that open and close in the same rhythm as your heartbeat, steps that start and stop down the corridor. Then comes the bell. It rings low, the sound carrying like a slow breath down the stone. It does not call you gently. It is an order. You rise because you must. You rise because this bell has already decided the hours of your day. The room is spare. A simple wooden bed, a thin mattress, a blanket of rough wool folded at the foot. A small cross hangs where a painting might otherwise be. There is no mirror. There is no chair to rest in. You draw the robe over your shoulder scores, plain, the same robe you have worn 1,000 mornings. The fabric scratches in the quiet, but you do not move to soften it. Comfort is not what you came here for. Before you leave the little cell, you say a short prayer, one you know by habit, not by heart so much as by the muscles of your mouth. The words are small and soft. They are not an outburst of feeling, but a shaping of intention. You give the day over, inch by steady inch. Say it slowly. Let the syllables fall like pebbles into a calm pond. You step into the corridor. Stone arches line the way. The walls retain the coolness of the night. Candles are few, and protected glass casts a dim warmth, like a small refuge in every niche. The corridor smells faintly of cold wax, of damp cloth, and of straw. Other figures are moving, two silhouettes in soft grey robes. No one speaks. Voices are kept for the chapel and for the duties that require them. Silence is part of the order. Silence is not empty. It is meaningful. The walk to the chapel is a slow procession. Your feet know the route well. Your steps fall in a muted rhythm. You move past the refectory where the morning bench lies waiting, past the courtyard where frost may still cling to the edges of the garden beds. Each door opens with a soft groan and then closes behind you, and the sound becomes part of the music of the morning. Inside the chapel, the space opens. Stone columns rise, their capitals worn by time and by countless hands. The altar stands plain, prepared. Candles are lit in small clusters, their flames a quiet company against the vast dark. Light touches the carved stone, makes fine lines of shadow. You feel small here, but in the way that softness of scale makes room for thought. Prayers begin. They are not hurried. The words are Latin, rolled like slow dough, shaped, precise, and calm. Sometimes they are chanted in a simple melody that rises and falls, each silence as important as sound. The chants have weight and habit. The meaning of some lines slips free from your mind and becomes only sound, only breath, only a tide that pulls and pushes. Allow yourself to follow the tide. Breathe with it. Let the sound settle in your chest. You kneel. The stone below is hard and carries the cold. Kneeling is not dramatic here. It is a practiced posture. It sets the body to listen. Your joints remember the motion. You remain steady as others around you breathe and chant. The physical world is quiet except for the voice of the prayers. Time becomes measured by the breath between one line and the next. You may imagine your mind growing foggy at the edges, the words doing their gentle work like a slow hand smoothing a rough surface. The repetition softens the sharpness of waking. The first office concludes. There is a hush as the last syllable fades, and you rise slowly, your knees stiff but obedient to the next movement. Small noises, the shifting of a robe, the muted closing of a book fill the chapel with a domestic hush. Now, you leave with the others, again in silence, each man holding a small lamp or a folded psalter, each mind gathered for the day ahead. There is a quality to this early devotion that is not simply piety, it is training. The body learns to be present. The mind learns to be bent toward order. You feel both the serenity and the constraint. The monotony of the rhythm settles like a blanket, and beneath it a steady thought grows. You would not last a single day were this life your only measure. Now, after prayers, you walk toward the refectory. Footsteps fall soft. The refectory is long and simple, furnished with benches and a high table at the end where the reading will be done aloud. The light here is cooler, the air a little fuller from others' breaths. In the center, the lectern stands ready. A solitary monk will read. The rest will listen. Eating is accompanied by attention. The spoken passages are meant to accompany and to shape the meal. The meal itself is small. Imagine a wooden bowl, a neutral broth warmed to stillness, a wedge of bread half stale, perhaps a small portion of beans or lentils. Taste it slowly. There are no spices to tease, and no sweetness to lure the mind away. Each mouthful is an act of necessity. Swallowing becomes part of a ritual of restraint. While you eat, your hands are still. You do not gesture. You do not laugh. The silence at the table is like a second skin. The reader speaks and you listen. The text flows and becomes part of your body. When the meal ends, benches are scraped back with a tired, regular sound, and you move on, leaving the empty bowls in their place. You have eaten what you need to continue. The day is not yet heavy with labor, but it has been claimed. The rhythm of the hours fits tighter now, like a watch spring set into motion. Bells will mark the next tasks. Your life is measured in sound. Pause here a moment. Breathe in the cool air again. Feel the fabric of your robe at your wrist. Let your awareness rest in the small, ordinary details. The texture of the bread, the scratch of the quill you will hold later, the cold of the stone underfoot. These are the materials of the day. They will repeat. They will become a slow, unending loop that says, wake, pray, eat, work. Wake, pray, eat, work. There is comfort in repetition, even as you sense the hard edge beneath it. And even as you sense that you would not last a single day if this were all you had. Now remain with the small sensations. Let the quiet deepen. Walk with me to the Scriptorium. You pass through another door, heavier than the last, into a long, cool chamber. The scriptorium is narrow and lined with desks, simple benches with slanted tops worn smooth by generations of hands. Light comes in high windows, slats that let pale strips of day fall across rows of desks like gentle fingers. Shelves are stacked with books wrapped in leather. The atmosphere is intentionally dry. Humidity is an enemy of parchment. The room smells faintly of leather, of wax, and of a distinct iron temps that clings to the air from ink. At your desk, a pot of ink waits. The ink is made carefully, galls crushed and brewed, iron salts added, a gum to bind. It is dark and patient. A quill lies on the table, a feather trimmed and sharpened, its tip split delicately for the slow flow of ink. Your hand knows how to hold it. Your wrist remembers the angle that makes the letters sing. You sit down and place your parchment in front of you. The exemplar another book open to the passage you are to copy lies to your left. Your task is to preserve, to replicate the lines that have been given to you. There is a rhythm to copying. Dip the quill, draw a line, lift, repeat. Each letter must be formed in a precise way. Calligraphy is a slow craft. The rise and fall of each stroke, the pressure that makes a curve thin or thick, the small flourish at the end of a word. Your eyes travel across the model text and translate sound into shape. Over time, meaning dissolves and the work becomes muscle memory. The letters are shapes etched into the body. Mistakes matter. A blot of ink can mar the harmony of the page. A miscopied word may require scraping the ink away or starting the page anew. So the pace is unhurried, as if speed itself were a risk. There is a meditative quality here, this attention to form, this patient repetition. Let your breath match it, in and out with the quiet scratch of quill. The sound is small, like a second thread in a larger cloth. Allow it to be a lullaby of motion. As the morning stretches, fingers stiffen. The hand cramps slightly where it has held the quill too long. You pause only as the bell allows. The monks treat this work as a devotion. Copying preserves texts, slaw, prayer, medicine. Each careful line is an act of service to those who will come after. Imagine that sense of purpose. Imagine the small pride that comes from making a page whole. Yet you do not own the words. They are not yours to reshape. You are the channel through which text flows forward. Beyond the desk, other tasks go on. A brother tunes a bell or sharpens a tool. Another sorts bundles of thread for binding books. Yet the scriptorium remains hushed. It is a small universe ruled by patience. You might lift your eyes to the window and watch the slow drift of clouds. A world moving outward while you remain fixed. An inner work of endurance. When the bell rings once more, you close the book you have been copying and lay down the quill. You stretch your fingers because they ache from the small, exacting labor. The ink leaves a faint mark on your thumb no matter how careful you are. You move from desk to cloister. In the cloister, the air feels different. The open square of the garden is framed by arcaded walks. A small patch of soil lies in the center. It is a cultivated place. Herbs for medicine, vegetables for the table, perhaps a fig or a small grapevine if the monastery sits in a generous climate. The garden is not ornamental. It is practical. It gives back what you give it. Your work here is blunt and tactile. Kneel, feel the earth in your hands. Pull a root. plant a seed. The texture of soil is warm against the skin. It smells faintly of life. For a brief time, the work is physical in a way that clears the head. Yet even here, the tasks are governed by the bell. There is a measured begin and a measured end. You will spend hours moving between these stations, scriptorium to garden, garden to kitchen, kitchen to infirmary if necessary. The day's labor is diverse in description, but uniform in spirit. Each task is simple, necessary, and repeated. Each is a small rite of daily life. Each is a thread in the fabric of the community. As you work, you may notice how your thoughts start to float. At first, small images of heat, of the taste of bread come to mind, then drift away. The mind learns to settle into the rhythm. You are present and yet distant. You are doing and yet being. The repetition is not a punishment so much as a shaping. It shapes the hours into something manageable, into a loop that is both sheltering and limiting. A soft realization returns. The comfort lies in routine, but at an edge there is a wariness you cannot entirely soften. The thought comes again, like a small bell. You would not last a single day if life were nothing but this. Now slow down with each motion. Feel the quill between your fingers. Hear the faint rasp it makes on parchment. Smell the ink when you dip. Taste little of the bread you carry between tasks. Keep your breathing even. The day is not hurried. Let the day's motions rock you gently. Remain in this quiet movement. The hours flow and are counted by sound. You have crossed the midpoint of the morning now. The sun is higher. Light shifts across the cloister, and a warmth begins to touch the stone. Your robe clings lightly with perspiration under its course. This is the hour of the day when your body registers the accumulation of small acts. The bending, the holding, the precise angle of a pen. The bell peals and calls the community together once again. For a short officen, anchor in the Davin, you are free to return to labor. Some workers will go to the bakehouse where loaves are turned and the oven breathes heat. Others will tend to the animals if the monastery keeps sheep or perhaps a cow. Your tasks are not the same every day, but they are always immediate. Today you might be called to the carpenter's bench. Tomorrow you will be with the stonemason. The change keeps the body engaged while keeping the mind subdued. Consider the baker for a moment. He works with temperature the way the scribe works with ink. He can judge the heat by the way the flour browns or the way the crust crackles. His hands know moisture like the scribe knows an ink stain. When bread rises, there is a small, private satisfaction among the workers. Their labor feeds the whole. If you are in the garden, you may pause and consider the slow labor of planting. A seed goes into the soil and then waits. It does not demand attention every hour. It waits patiently for small shifts in light and moisture. It is a humbling lesson in time. You dig gently, you create the bed, you press the seed into the earth and cover it. Your hands are darkened by soil and hairline cuts from thorns or a splinter. These small marks are badges of work. They are not celebrated, but they are real. Sometimes the infirmary will need you. A monk tends another who is weary or ill. The care is methodical. A warm broth, a change of bedding, gentle words. There is a hushed tenderness to these moments. Compassion is practiced with the same discipline as chanting. Yet even here there is restraint. The boundary between assistance and self-pity is guarded. You perform the action and then step back, because the monastery trains the spirit to steady endurance. Lunch, The second simple meal comes in the middle of this. Once again, you gather in the refectory. Otherwise, active conversation is restricted. The reader will take the text and read aloud. You listen as you eat, because the spoken passages are part of formation. Think of the text as seasoning for the soul. The physical act of eating is paired with an intellectual and spiritual habit. You learn to feed body and mind together. Savor each small swallow, not with hunger for sensation, but with gratitude for the ability to continue between tasks. You find small pockets of silence where your mind may drift. You might watch a sparrow hop along the outer ledge, or a strip of sky open between the buildings. Your thoughts drift and then settle. Repetition tends to quiet the interior storms. Where the world once gave newness, now it gives ritual. You find a certain stillness in that ritual, a quiet that hushes the frantic parts of you. The day's work continues, timed by bells, ruled by the structure of the rule you follow, shaped by the needs of the community. Each movement is intentional. The day builds up small muscles of patience. You feel the accumulated ache at the base of your back. Your hands stiffen when you rest them. Yet there is a disciplined softness in how you fold yourself back into task. As afternoon draws near, your pace does not quicken, but the body registers weariness. You move with conscientious economy, a cut away from excess motion, a measured turn, a thoughtful reach. The slow efficiency of the day becomes almost elegant. Even the small rituals, the way you fold a cloth, the way you set a bowl down, carry an unspoken grace. When the bell tolls for the later service, you wash your hands with the cool water in the basin. Water runs into your cupped palms, and you feel the brief sting of cold. Your hands are clean, if a little dry and cracked, but the gesture itself is a renewal. The service calls you once more. You walk the same route as in the morning, passing places you now know intimately, the low arch where the catamite vine grows, the worn threshold where the novice stumbled last autumn. Each place is a counting of days lived in the same measured way. Inside the chapel, you take your place. The chants have now threaded through the day like a slow refrain. They have the quality of a long-limbed lullaby. As voices rise and fall, imagine each sound as a tide that carries you along. Let it carry away the sharper edges of consciousness. The chant asks nothing dramatic of you. It asks only presence. The rhythm is sure, and in that steadiness your pulse synchronizes, softening. When you return to your cell after the office, the day is not yet over, but a gentle twilight settles into your limbs. You stand a while at the small window and look out. The garden is a patchwork of green cooling into dim, the sky a soft grain invitation to rest. You take the time to trace the line of the horizon, to notice the slow change in light, to let the small details collect, the feather stuck in a hedgerow, the way a puddle holds a cloud. These low attentions become a kind of consolation. The thought that has been hovering the whole morning returns softly, like the echo of a bell further down the valley. The discipline that shapes every motion also narrows the life. There is goodness here in routine, in service, in community, but the narrowness is real. You would not last a single day if life here were your exile rather than your calling. The words may ache, the labor may be steady, and the refrain of routine may feel like a garment that does not entirely fit. Rest now for a moment. Breathe in and let the air out slowly. Let the repetition of the day of the bell, the chant, the ink, the soil become a slow pattern in your mind. The day will continue, and your presence in it is small, steady, and enough. Imagine yourself walking along a quiet path, shaded by ancient trees whose leaves murmur softly in a slow breeze. The world around you is still, and the distant sound of a stream filters through the foliage. You are stepping back more than 1,000 years, into a time when the land was divided by small villages and scattered abbeys, when the rhythm of life was measured by the rising sun, the toll of bells, and the movement of seasons. You are Benedict, though the name is yet to be fully known. You are a young man, seeking something that cannot be spoken aloud. The world feels loud, chaotic, unpredictable, filled with the noise of men and the unrest of cities. And so you withdraw, drawn toward silence, toward the solitude of the hills and the calm of a simple cell. Imagine the small stone hut where you first settle. Its walls are rough, uneven, and cold against your fingertips. The floor is dirt, the ceiling low, the space just enough for a bed, a small desk, and a shelf for the few books you carry. The days here are empty and yet full. You rise with the sun, which leaks softly through a narrow window slit. You eat simple food, a piece of bread, a few vegetables, water drawn from a nearby spring. There is no hurry, but there is purpose. Each day is marked by prayer, by contemplation, by quiet labor. Your mind learns to measure itself by the rhythm of hours rather than by the noise of the outside world. And then comes the vision of a life more than solitude, a life of guidance, of structure, of rules that will shape not only yourself but those who follow. Imagine yourself thinking deeply about what makes a human soul stable. What kind of rhythm allows it to endure and yet remain humble? These are not questions you ask aloud, yet they form slowly, carefully, like roots under the soil. You begin to write, not in ink at first, but in memory and reflection, imagining rules that are firm yet gentle, strict yet oriented toward life. Benedict's rule begins to take shape. Every hour, every task, every meal, every prayer is accounted for. Work and devotion are intertwined. Sleep is measured. Silence is valued. The community, though yet small, will one day gather around these words. For now, it is just you, the stone cell, and the quiet, persistent whisper of the world outside. You imagine calling the monks 2 different times of the day, arranging the day as carefully as a musician arranges notes. There is comfort in repetition. There is power in structure. Each motion, each moment of attention, each bowed head carries weight and meaning. You feel a sense of responsibility. You are creating a vessel that others will inhabit. Every rule is a line drawn in care, to keep the soul safe from chaos, to give it a shape it can recognize and rely on. The Cluny reformers, though coming slightly later, echo your vision. Imagine the monasteries they touch, worn by time, stretched by human imperfection. They see the potential in these walls, the weight that structure carries, and they refine it, deepen it, insist on the practices that make life strict but enduring. The focus is on the collective rhythm: prayer, work, study, silence. Each monk contributes to the fabric of the day, and in that weaving, the community becomes more than a collection of individuals. It becomes a living pattern, moving like a slow, steady river, its banks guided by discipline. Yet you, Benedict, also understand the fragility of this order. Even the strongest stone can be worn. Even the deepest habits can fray. You feel the delicate balance between freedom and obedience, solitude and community. You imagine yourself walking among those who follow you, noting their small struggles, their subtle lapses in concentration. You guide without harshness, correcting without anger. The rule is a hand that steadies, not a whip that strikes. Now breathe slowly and let the path of this life open before you. Picture the sun lowering, the shadows lengthening across the stone cells. You walk among your small flock. The bells have rung throughout the day, each one a gentle marker of time. You see young monks learning the posture of prayer, novices tending the garden, older men copying the sacred texts with slow, deliberate hands. Everything moves together, yet each carries their own quiet rhythm. There is a paradox here. You would not last a single day in this exact life, because it asks for a patience that is unusual, a surrender of personal preference, a submission to quiet discipline. Yet the life is rich in subtleties. The smell of burning wax in the chapel, the way the quill dips and flows, the slow turning of pages, the soft brush of linen sleeves against stone walls. The beauty is subtle, often imperceptible at first, and it requires your attention to notice. Even the silences carry lessons. The pause between prayer and work, the still moment before the scriptorium desk, the hush in the refectorial teach endurance, mindfulness, and a calm that can settle the soul. In these rhythms, the heart learns to slow. In these repeated motions, the mind learns to wander gently, to float like leaves on a stream, to rest. As you imagine Benedict's life, let the knowledge sink in. Every rule, every moment of discipline, every act of obedience is designed not to punish, but to shape, to preserve, and to allow life to continue in a steady, measured flow. There is wisdom in this life, subtle and deep, yet it is exacting. And for those unaccustomed to such order, even a single day might feel overwhelming. You would not last a single day, and yet, in observing it, you can feel the slow, soft pulse of purpose that underlies every movement, every gesture, every breath. Picture yourself now standing at the entrance to the larger monastery. The air is cooler here, carrying faint hints of earth, stone, and the lingering scent of candles. Around you, the hum of the community begins to unfold. The novices move carefully, their robes brushing the worn flagstones. The older monks move with a slow certainty, each step deliberate, each gesture measured. This is not haste. This is attention to a life shaped by intention. Benedict's rule is in motion. Every hour is accounted for. You imagine the bells ringing, one after another, calling the monks to prayer, to labor, to study. The divisions of the day are precise. Morning, mid-morning, noon, afternoon, evening, night. Each has its appointed duties. Work is intertwined with devotion. The scriptorium waits with its polished desks and quiet light. The garden stretches, ordered in rows of herbs and vegetables, each plant a small testament to patient care. The infirmary holds its hushed attentions. The refectory prepares meals that are simple, yet exacting in their timing. Observe the novices. You can see their small, daily struggles. One hesitates over the words in the Psalter, the sound of Latin foreign to his ears. Another stumbles over the stone steps, careful to avoid drawing attention. Discipline is patient, not harsh. Mistakes are noted, but corrected with calm instruction. The rule guides the community, not as a whip, but as a framework within which life may be lived steadily. And yet, even with such structure, the spirit is tested. Silence presses in like a soft, persistent weight. One can feel the absence of choice. Hours stretch in gentle, unbroken lines. Sleep is measured. Prayer is repeated. Work is constant. It is easy to imagine the mind wandering, the body wishing for more freedom, and yet the gentle insistence of routine shapes each moment into something enduring. You would not last a single day here, for the life asks for an acceptance of small, persistent discipline, a surrender to the rhythm of the monastery. Now, let us think of Cluny. The reformers see the monasteries of Europe and perceive what Benedict began in a humble way: the potential for order, the shaping of life through ritual and devotion. They enforce a renewed strictness, calling attention to silent meals, extended prayer, and precise observance of daily tasks. Imagine walking the cloisters under their guidance. The air feels more intentional, each footfall echoing with purpose. The novices are trained to move like water through channels, each motion guided, each breath accounted for, each action part of the larger flow. Meals, once merely nourishment, become lessons in restraint and mindfulness. Each sip of water, each bite of bread, is paired with reflection, awareness, and meditation. The monk's eyes lower, hands fold, and the body becomes an instrument of rhythm. There is a calm here, a quietness that envelops every corner, but it is exacting. You are part of the living system, and the system requires your full attention. Now consider the scriptorium once more. The Cluny reforms emphasize the preservation of knowledge. Books are copied with even more precision. The quill traces the same words across page after page, the letters forming patterns that are both functional and beautiful. You feel the patient passage of time as ink flows steadily, each motion deliberate, each letter a gentle imprint on the memory of the monastery. As the day moves on, the garden calls again. Hands dig gently into the soil, planting, weeding, tending to life that grows slowly and obediently. Every task is measured. Every gesture has intention. Nothing is rushed. Even a pause to watch the wind lift a leaf or to hear a bird sing is part of the meditation of the day. The awareness of each small sensation: cool stone, rough cloth, fragrant herbs grounds the mind and softens the edges of consciousness. Through all of this, Benedict's presence is imagined as calm guidance. You sense him walking the halls, moving quietly, correcting gently, shaping the young monks and the novices with the soft authority of someone who understands both the mind and the body. His rule is not harsh, it is a slow hand on the day, a gentle steering toward patience, humility, and attentiveness. And still, for the modern observer, it is exacting. Hours pass in structured devotion. The same prayers are repeated, the same gestures made, yet within the repetition is an unseen richness. The whisper of candlelight, the rustle of robes, the soft scrape of a quill across parchment, the faint smell of herbs in the garden. It is subtle, it is persistent, it is enough to lull the mind while shaping it. As the afternoon unfolds, you feel the rhythm deepen. Each bell, each task, each line of prayer or work carries you further into the measured pace of life. You notice how the mind softens, how attention drifts gently, how the edges of consciousness blur with the quiet cadence. The rule works not by demand, but by shaping attention, guiding presence, and filling each day with deliberate, small movements. And here it returns the thought that lingers softly. You would not last a single day if life were nothing but this exacting, serene discipline. Yet, in imagining it, you feel the calm, the quiet order, the gentle insistence of each hour, and you understand why Benedict and the Cluny reformers devoted themselves to this path. Now imagine the monastery in its fullness. The stone walls have settled with centuries of quiet use. Each corridor, each cell, each archway carries the soft memory of countless steps. You walk slowly through this space, tracing the path of Benedict and the monks who have followed him, imagining the accumulated discipline, the careful ordering of every moment. The day begins again with the familiar toll of the bell. You rise, not abruptly, but with a measured consciousness. Every motion, the folding of robes, the brushing of hands along the stone carries a quiet intention. Benedict's rule has now been absorbed into the life of the monastery. The novices have grown into their routines. The older monks guide with gentle authority, and the rhythm of prayer, work, and study shapes every corner of existence. Consider the chapel once more. Candles flicker lightly, casting a slow dance of shadows across the carved stone. Prayers rise and fall in cadence, the voices not hurried, not loud, but resonant with a calm certainty. Imagine sitting among the monks, listening as the chants ebb and flow. Let the sound wash over you, each note a soft tide that rocks the mind toward stillness. The repetition is comforting, yet exacting. It carries both serenity and subtle challenge. Meals continue in structured silence. Bread, water, a simple broth, each swallow mindful. Conversation is minimal. Awareness of every movement, every taste, every subtle sound becomes heightened. You notice the soft scrape of a bowl on the table, the whisper of a robe as someone shifts position. These small details are the rhythm of life, the quiet heartbeat of the monastery. The scriptorium, too, is alive with quiet purpose. Quills move with steady patience across pages of parchment, copying texts that will endure long after the monks themselves. Ink smells faintly of iron and oak. Leather-bound books line the shelves, their spines worn but cared for. Every action is part of a continuum and unbroken chain of devotion, discipline, and preservation. You feel the steadiness of the work as it settles into your own breathing, a calm repetition that softens the mind. Outside, the garden grows in orderly rows. Herbs, vegetables, and small fruit-bearing plants receive tender, measured care. The monks bend to the earth, their hands darkened by soil, fingers gentle with each plant. Every movement is part of the rhythm dig. Plant, water, tend. Even in labor there is meditation, a slow awareness that soothes and teaches. Imagine the sun's warmth on your back, the faint rustle of leaves, the gentle fragrance of growing things. Each sensory detail lingers and softens thought. Through the day, Benedict's presence is felt in subtle ways. His vision shapes the community, yet he guides with quiet authority. Corrections are gentle, guidance is patient. The rule has matured, yet its principles remain constant. Attention to detail, mindfulness, humility, and service. You witness the balance he sought. Discipline without harshness, structure without suffocation. The community flows as a living organism, each member contributing to its pattern with care and attention as evening approaches. The bells mark the closing of daily work. You return to your cell, moving with deliberate slowness. Light fades across stone walls, and the chill of night creeps softly into corners. You pause for a moment at your window, looking out over the cloister. Shadows lengthen, the garden rests. The world beyond the walls is quiet. You inhale the cool air, letting it fill your lungs, letting your mind drift with the day's memories and rhythms. Reflection settles. The lessons of Benedict's life are subtle yet profound. Structure shapes freedom, silence teaches presence, repetition cultivates patience. The rule is not simply a set of instructions. It is a living framework that allows human life to endure, to find focus, and to learn quiet resilience. And yet, the thought returns. You would not last a single day if this life demanded all of your attention and surrendered your personal habits. The exacting rhythm is both sheltering and strict, comforting and challenging as night deepens. You notice the soft sounds of the monastery, the faint creak of timbers settling, the distant toll of the final bell, the whisper of wind through the cloister arches. These sounds carry the day to rest. Let your mind float along with them, tracing the patterns of devotion, labor, and quiet reflection. Let the repetition of Benedict's life and the Cluny work, study, silence become a gentle tide, lulling you toward calm and stillness. Finally, in your imagination, you lie down upon the hard bed of the cell. Your body has moved through the rhythm of hours. Your mind has traced the slow currents of purpose and discipline. And though the day has demanded everything, the subtle comforts, the warmth of candlelight, the faint scent of ink and herbs, the measured cadence of steps offer a soft conclusion. You close your eyes, and in that quiet surrender, the monastery itself seems to breathe with you. Welcome once again to the quiet corridors of the monastery. Imagine yourself standing at the entrance to a passage you have never noticed before, a narrow arch tucked behind the familiar stone walls. The air is cooler here, carrying a faint, earthy scent that is different from the gentle warmth of the cloister. Light from your lantern dances across the rough-hewn stones, illuminating carvings that have worn with time, symbols whose meanings have been partially forgotten. Each step you take is deliberate, almost reverent, for the walls themselves seem to hold memory, and your movement is a disturbance in their centuries-long slumber. This is a place where time has layered itself, a corridor that carries echoes of voices long silent. Picture the monks who once moved here, their feet shuffling softly on stone, their robes brushing the walls as they carried candles or manuscripts. The narrowness of the passage demands caution. You bend slightly, aware of the low ceiling, the way the stones have shifted, the small, uneven cracks underfoot. Every detail is a signal, a trace of human life, preserved in the stone itself, telling a story that words cannot fully capture. Now, as you walk, notice the faint drafts of air that whisper through hidden cracks. They carry subtle hints of the outside world, moisture from the garden, faint perfume of herbs, a trace of smoke from a distant hearth. These currents of air are gentle reminders of the life that continues beyond these secret spaces. Yet the stillness here is almost complete. Listen carefully. You might hear nothing more than the soft brush of your own movement, the slow, methodical sound of air shifting across stones, and the heartbeat of your own presence. The silence is profound, yet it is not empty. It is filled with anticipation, with the residue of countless footsteps, prayers, and labor that have passed this way. These hidden corridors were not built without purpose. Some were utilitarian, carrying goods from one chamber to another, allowing passage in times of need without disturbing the order of daily prayer. Some may have been escape routes in times of danger, constructed with foresight and patience. Others, however, remain enigmas. Perhaps they concealed forbidden knowledge, rooms where manuscripts were stored in secret, or spaces where particular rites were conducted out of sight of casual observers. Imagine the hands that carved these passages, the slow chisel against stone, the sweat and focus required to carve space into the stubborn rock. Every inch represents hours of deliberate labor. each movement precise and controlled, and consider the psychological effect of these hidden spaces. A novice or an outsider might feel a mix of awe and apprehension. The darkness, the silence, the sense of history pressing in, all combine to create a gentle tension that sharpens awareness while inviting contemplation. Imagine walking these corridors at dusk, the sun low in the sky, the lantern casting flickering shadows that seem to animate the carvings. Each shadow stretches and contracts with your movement, offering the sense that the past itself is shifting slightly. Watching and waiting, turning a corner, you discover a small door set flush into the wall. The wood is old, darkened by age and perhaps smoke. The hinges creak faintly when you nudge it open, and a faint musty smell escapes her, mixture of damp earth, ink, and old parchment. Inside lies a small room, perhaps once used for storage or for solitary study. The air is cool, still, and carries a faint scent of mold, yet it is not unpleasant. It is the aroma of things preserved, of histories paused rather than lost. Imagine monks here, long ago, bent over texts, their quills moving slowly across pages, the soft scratch of pen against parchment a gentle accompaniment to their quiet breath. Among the items here, there might have been manuscripts, books of devotion, science, and philosophy, some now lost, some hidden carefully. Imagine their pages, fragile yet enduring, each letter formed with care, each word a bridge across time. You might see a small chest where scrolls were kept, the leather straps dry and cracked, the iron locks tarnished with age. The monks who guarded these texts knew the value of silence, the weight of preservation. They moved gently, carefully, aware that each object carried meaning beyond the immediate, extending into centuries yet to come. Now focus on the subtle decorations carved into the walls of this hidden room. Symbols of the sun, the moon, interlaced vines, geometric shapes, each element both artistic and functional, a code of reminders, of lessons, of spiritual reflection. Some meanings unknown, some partially deciphered, others still elude understanding. Let your mind linger on these patterns. Do not rush toward comprehension. Allow the eyes to follow the curves and lines slowly. Each swirl, each angle, carries an echo of intention. The act of observing becomes a meditation, a lullaby of form, line, and quiet repetition. As you move back through the corridors, notice the small niches that may have once held candles, small bowls, or sacred objects. Imagine them lit, a soft glow dancing against stone, the gentle flicker creating patterns of shadow that change gradually as the flame moves. The monks' lives unfolded around these small, persistent lights, each one shaping movement, ritual, and attention. The warmth, faint and comforting, stands in contrast to the cool stone. The rhythm of light marking the passage of hours in a silent, enduring cadence. Consider now the hidden stairways leading to attics or basements. Each step is narrow and worn. The ascent and descent require concentration, awareness of the uneven stone, and a calm patience. Every movement is deliberate. Imagine centuries of monks, novices, and workers climbing and descending, carrying scrolls, ink, and supplies. Their routines were governed by bells and rules. Yet these secret paths offered small reprieves, moments of solitude, and connection to the hidden layers of the monastery. Pause for a moment here. Breathe slowly. Feel the cool air on your skin, the uneven stones beneath your feet. Let your imagination dwell in the gentle tension of history layered upon itself. Let the silence, the hidden passages, and the slow, deliberate movements of countless generations wash over your mind. Each step, each shadow, each faint sound is a thread in the fabric of time, weaving together the seen and unseen, the preserved and the mysterious, the hidden corridors, the secret chambers, and the preserved manuscripts are not merely relics. They are invitations to presence, to observation, to contemplation. You move through the monastery with awareness, yet your mind drifts in the gentle current of time. Let the echoes, the shadows, and the subtle scents lull you into a slow, reflective state. Here, in this quiet exploration, there is a meditation on endurance, memory, and the mysterious layers that make the monastery both a home and a keeper of secrets. Step back into the quiet heart of the monastery. Imagine yourself once more in the scriptorium, that long hall of desks and wooden benches. The air tinged with the faint scent of ink and parchment, dry yet alive with memory. Here, every surface holds a story, every page is a fragment of time captured, and every shadow carries a whisper of those who came before. You move slowly, deliberately, letting your footsteps merge with the gentle rhythm of the space. The scriptorium is lined with manuscripts, some bound in rich leather, their spines creased from centuries of handling. Others, fragile, pale with age, edges curling slightly as if seeking to curl away from the present. You run your hand along the smooth surface of a closed book, feeling the impression of time, the small undulations of the leather, the faint grain that tells of trees felled hundreds of years ago to supply its pages. Some books are missing, vanished from shelves in ways both mysterious and ordinary, perhaps taken during a period of war, hidden for safekeeping, or lost to simple neglect. Each absence leaves a void, an invitation for imagination to drift. Imagine the monks who handled these texts. Picture them bent over their desks, quills poised, their hands steady, dipping into ink made from oak galls and iron salts, each line formed with careful attention. The scratch of quill on parchment is a constant, soothing sound, the tiny rhythm of their lives echoing across the long hall. They do not hurry. Speed is a danger. Each word is a prayer, each letter a small devotion. Let the sound of their careful work settle around you like a gentle tide, carrying away the clamor of the outside world. Now, envision a manuscript that has been lost to time. Perhaps it was a commentary on scripture, a record of local history, or a compendium of medical knowledge. Its pages no longer turn, its words are unheard. Yet the absence is almost tangible, a small emptiness that your mind can wander into. Picture the letters that never reach you, the ideas and lessons that drifted into obscurity. Allow your imagination to reconstruct them in soft detail. The layout of the page, the margin notes, the careful illumination of initial letters with gold or deep pigment. Each detail is deliberate, each absent line a gentle mystery as you walk slowly past the shelves. Consider the way manuscripts were stored and preserved. Some were placed high on racks, away from the damp floor. Others were kept in small, locked cupboards, protected from thieves or careless hands. Every decision had weight. The monks were aware that these texts were fragile, yet powerful. Each page a bridge across time, a thread connecting the present with centuries yet to come. Picture the small locks, the brass clasps, the faint iron hinges that resisted rust through careful care and regular attention. Notice the faint traces of annotations in the margins of some surviving manuscripts. These marginalia are soft echoes of the reader's thoughts, small marks of attention and reflection. A symbol here, a note there, a tiny drawing of a hand or a flower, recorded gently, carefully, with a sense of purpose. Imagine the eyes that wrote these marks, the mind that followed the lines of text with both care and curiosity. Let your attention linger on these small traces. They carry the personality, the presence, and the habit of those who engaged with these works. There are other mysteries as well. Manuscripts whose purpose is obscure, whose content challenges comprehension. Perhaps a recipe for a medicinal potion, a fragment of a philosophical argument, or a liturgical formula now incomprehensible without the context of its time. Let yourself imagine the quiet puzzlement and fascination of monks encountering these texts centuries ago. The soft murmur of consultation, the gentle passing of copies to be deciphered. The effort to understand becomes a meditation in itself, a rhythm of thought that is slow, deliberate, and soothing. Move now to the soft light filtering through the high windows. It illuminates dust in the air, each mote drifting like a tiny star, making the room feel vast yet intimate. Notice the edges of parchment glowing softly, the ink catching the light in subtle ways. The atmosphere encourages reflection, gentle thought, and calm observation. You may lean over a manuscript, tracing the words with a finger, letting your eyes follow the curves of letters that have endured countless hours of hands, eyes, and devotion. Occasionally, a faint sound reaches you, the distant toll of a bell, the slow movement of someone elsewhere in the monastery, the whisper of wind through an open shutter. These are the markers of life continuing outside the scriptorium. Yet inside, you remain cocooned in the layered hush of history. Let the sounds merge with your breathing, creating a rhythm that is both external and internal. A gentle metronome for the mind. Consider the lost manuscripts again. Perhaps some were destroyed in fire, their pages curling to ash, yet even this loss is softened by memory. The surviving fragments become precious. A corner of parchment, a faded illumination, a few lines of text. You might imagine piecing together the story from these scraps, imagining the life of the original text and its readers. This process is slow, deliberate, and reflective, a meditation on absence and presence, on continuity and fragility, beyond the manuscripts themselves. There are other artifacts, writing implements, ink pots, rulers, styluses, binding tools. Picture them as still lifes preserved by time, each object a quiet companion to the labor of the monks. The quills are worn, their tips softened by decades of use. The ink pots stained and thick with residue. The tools arranged with practical intent. These objects speak softly of routine, of discipline, and of the meditative patience that defined the daily work of the monastery. Pause for a moment. Let your eyes wander over the room. Let your breathing match the soft cadence of your thoughts. Imagine the monk's hands, the parchment, the ink, the light, and the quiet reflection of centuries. You are walking not only through a physical space, but through a layered history, a repository of human devotion, curiosity, and care. Each detail, the smell of ink, the texture of leather, the light falling softly across a page carries weight and meaning, yet it carries nothing harsh or sudden. It is a gentle, enduring presence. Finally, allow yourself to consider the stillness of the scriptorium as a teacher. It trains attention, patience, and calm observation. It offers a sanctuary not only for physical preservation, but for mental ease. As you leave the room, imagine carrying a fragment of this serenity with you, the measured rhythm of labor, the slow unfolding of time, the whisper of pages that have endured centuries. Let it settle into your mind as a soft, recurring refrain. Let us step once more into the quiet heart of the monastery, moving beyond the scriptorium into spaces that carry a slightly different rhythm of hidden passageways, whispered histories, and the subtle weight of objects older than most of the stones themselves. As you move, let your steps be soft and measured. Allow the cold of the stone floor to remind you of the centuries it has endured, and let the faint smell of candle wax, incense, and aged wood settle around your senses like a gentle cloak. Imagine the walls themselves, thick, enduring, holding echoes of hundreds of years. Some walls bear hidden recesses, tucked away where light barely reaches, spaces that once held sacred relics or secret documents. These niches are small and deliberate, a quiet testament to the care and caution of those who came before. In your mind, walk slowly along a cloistered corridor, pausing to imagine the small doors or stone panels that might hide a staircase descending into shadow. The air is still, but alive with potential history. You feel both curiosity and calm restraint as you approach each quiet corner. Consider the icons that decorate the more public spaces, painted images of saints, angels, and biblical scenes. Their colors have softened over time, gold leaf dulled to a warm, gentle glow. Each icon is made to invite reflection, not action. Let your eyes follow the gentle curves of halos, the careful folds of robes, the almost imperceptible gestures of hands and faces. Imagine the monk who painted them, brush held with precision, heart steady, the slow rhythm of each stroke mirroring the slow passage of ours. The image is not just decoration, is a vessel for meditation, a door to contemplation. As you continue, imagine a hidden doorway, its edges blended into the wall, nearly invisible. Such passages were sometimes used to move quietly between sections of the monastery, to retrieve a lost manuscript, or to perform a duty away from the main gaze. Step carefully. Hear the faint echo of your footsteps as you enter a narrow stone corridor. The air here is cooler, slightly damp, and carries the smell of earth that has been undisturbed for decades. Let the darkness be gentle. Imagine it as a soft blanket that invites thought rather than fear. Along the walls, small alcoves hold remnants of ritual objects, tiny censers, extinguished candles, fragments of prayer books, carved wooden figures. Each is a whisper of devotion, a quiet act of belief preserved in stillness. Let your mind linger over these details. Notice the wear on the floor stones, polished by centuries of passage. Hear the subtle hum of your own breath as it fills the quiet space. You are both observer and participant, moving slowly through layers of time that have been shaped by ritual and repetition. In another corner, imagine a locked chest, its surface etched with symbols that hint at secrets once closely guarded. Perhaps it contains an illuminated manuscript, a rare relic, or a document of local history. You can almost feel the weight of its contents, even without opening it. Consider the hands that placed these items inside long ago, their care deliberate, their intentions sacred. Every lock, every symbol, every nuance of design is a lesson in patience and attention. Let your awareness follow each small detail, the grain of the wood, the curve of a metal latch, the faint scent of aged oak and wax dot. Now, picture a narrow spiral staircase leading down to a cellar beneath the monastery. The stone steps are worn and uneven, each one holding the memory of countless feet. You descend slowly, feeling the gradual change in temperature, the slight dampness in the air. Perhaps this space was used to store wine, food, or archives of documents. It is silent except for the faint dripping of water in some unseen corner. Let each step you take be deliberate. Your body feels the small exertion, yet your mind drifts in rhythm with the careful movement. Imagine finding an old manuscript or scroll tucked away in a hidden corner. Its edges are fragile, the ink faded, yet the words speak softly across centuries. You might picture reading a prayer that few have heard since its creation, a recipe for a medicinal salve, or a list of rules governing life in this quiet place. Let each word float in your mind, unhurried, a gentle repetition that invites calm. You are absorbing the monastery's life slowly, not as an outsider rushing past, but as someone attuned to the rhythm of its existence. Return now to the chapel. Light has shifted throughout the day, creating subtle patterns across the stone floor. The icons and stained glass seem different under the late afternoon sun, shadows lengthening and softening the once bright images. The effect is meditative. Time becomes visible, measured in the movement of light and the slow cadence of sound. Perhaps a small breeze stirs a hanging tapestry, or a candle flickers in the corner. All these little details are gentle markers of the passage of hours. Take a moment to focus on the sensory details that surround you, the roughness of the stone under your fingertips, the faint chill of air flowing through a narrow passage, the smell of aged paper and wax mingling in quiet harmony. Each detail is a thread in the monastery's tapestry, a way of grounding your attention without disturbing your inner calm. Your breathing follows the rhythm of your awareness, slow, steady, and unhurried. Finally, reflect on the mysteries that remain unsolved, the manuscripts lost to fire or theft, the symbols whose meaning has faded, the hidden corners where no eye has wandered for centuries. Each absence is a gentle invitation to curiosity, a space for thought that is quiet and reflective. Let your imagination fill these spaces slowly, without urgency or sharpness, appreciating the stillness and the depth of history preserved. You leave the hidden passages and icons behind, carrying with you the soft echo of time, the calm presence of devotion, and the gentle knowledge that centuries of human care and quiet labor have left their mark. Each movement, each breath, each attentive observation becomes part of the rhythm of your own day, settling your mind, calming your thoughts, and allowing your awareness to drift toward rest be you. Segment 3, Part 3, See Ikin, your classic, 7-8, Bin Kelamelik, Ditali, Vyukia, Jugendtaslok. Sesendemid approximately to Sotlik Surai Denk Gelacek Uzunarlukta, VA Segment 3 in Sunkansmi Night. As you leave the quiet corridors and the scriptorium, imagine walking through a part of the monastery rarely seen by novices or the lower-ranking monks. This is a space of subtle luxury, where the daily life of abbots and visiting nobles unfolds with a different rhythm. Let your awareness drift slowly over the textures and sounds here, noticing the contrast without judgment, simply observing. The abbot's quarters are modest by worldly standards, yet markedly different from the bare cells of the ordinary brothers. A thicker blanket lies folded at the foot of a larger bed, its fabric smoother, softer. A few simple chairs are arranged around a low table, the wood polished by hands that attend only to the necessities of life and comfort. Sunlight filters through larger windows, casting warm patterns across the stone floor. The air is a little less damp here, carrying faint scents of herbs stored for use in study or small remedies. Blending with the soft aroma of candle smoke, consider the abbot's daily routine. It mirrors the hours of the community, yet moves with subtle differences. He rises early, like the others, to the sound of the bell, but his duties allow for moments of quiet reflection before the communal prayers begin. Perhaps he reads a portion of scripture privately, his fingers tracing the lines of illuminated letters, letting each word settle slowly in his mind. Imagine the stillness around him, a different stillness than the scriptorium, more spacious, less disciplined by the strict hand of labor, yet equally demanding of patience and attention. Visitors of higher social rank may occasionally enter these quarters. Imagine a noble arriving to consult with the abbot, seeking guidance or offering a gift. There is ritual to these encounters, each gesture measured, each word deliberate. Even the presentation of a small bag of coins or a finely embroidered cloth carries unspoken meaning. Let your mind linger on the subtle communication of wealth, power, and expectation, all balanced delicately against the quiet rhythm of the monastery. Walk now through the refectory reserved for the abbot and his close attendants. The benches are sturdier, the tables slightly higher, and the meal more varied. Imagine a wooden plate holding soft cheese, a few slices of bread still warm, perhaps a small portion of fish if the season allows. The meal is eaten slowly, deliberately. Conversation is permitted here, but it is gentle, measured, and respectful. Each word spoken is a part of the ritual of dining as much as the food itself. The senses are engaged softly, the warmth of the bread, the tang of cheese, the muted clink of utensils. Outside these quarters, in the cloister gardens, the contrast continues. Nobles visiting for spiritual retreat may walk slowly along the arcaded walks, guided by a brother assigned to their care. Their steps are unhurried, and yet there is an awareness of observation, a quiet performance of piety. Imagine their robes, finer in fabric than those of the novice, brushing the stone floor, the folds carrying a soft weight. They pause to admire herbs or flowers, their hands never touching unless invited, their curiosity tempered by respect. The garden becomes a space not only of growth but of reflection, bridging the exterior and interior life. Now consider the abbot again. Beyond the comforts, he carries responsibility, oversight of the monastery, decisions about resource allocation, and delicate management of relationships with patrons and local authorities. Each task is subtle, largely invisible to the ordinary eye, yet essential to the smooth functioning of the community. Let yourself feel the gentle tension of authority, a responsibility carried with quiet dignity rather than outward display. The rhythm of this life is slower, more deliberate, less physically demanding, but mentally present at all times. Occasionally, the abbots or visiting nobles might move into chambers where relics are stored. Imagine a small room, softly lit by candles, containing a reliquary or a collection of sacred objects. The air is warm, carrying a faint scent of incense, old wood, and polished metal. Each object is handled with care. A piece of bone, a fragment of cloth, a carved wooden figure. The reverence here is tangible, the atmosphere heavy with quiet attention. Imagine running a finger along the edge of a reliquary, feeling the cool metal, the subtle textures carved by hands long gone. Each detail is absorbed slowly, allowing the mind to rest in observation. Consider also the interactions between the abbots and the lay patrons. Perhaps a local lord has endowed the monastery with funds for construction, or offered gifts of wine or grain. Imagine the ceremonial exchanges. A bow here, a careful hand clasp there, measured words that convey gratitude, authority, or obligation. Notice how these interactions are soft, layered, and rhythmic, never rushed. There is power, yet it is tempered by the slow pulse of monastic life. Finally, imagine the transition into evening. The privileged quarters quiet down, lamps are lit, and shadows soften across the stone floors. The abbots may read privately, write letters, or contemplate scripture by candlelight. Nobles retreat to simple bedding, perhaps with a small pillow and blanket that feel luxurious compared to the coarser linens elsewhere. The day draws to a measured close. The contrast between labor and authority, simplicity and subtle luxury, fading into the muted embrace of night. Let your awareness absorb the textures, the warmth of the sun on stone, the coolness of marble or tile, the soft fragrance of herbs, the glow of candlelight on smooth wood. These details form a gentle tapestry, a rhythm to the day that is rich yet soft, orderly yet comforting. Reflect on the lives that unfolded here, the dedication of the ordinary monk, the measured privileges of the abbot, the careful presence of visiting nobles. All is contained within the slow cadence of the monastery, a world where both simplicity and quiet refinement coexist. Breathe slowly. Imagine each movement, each sound, each texture melding into the gentle rhythm of the monastery. The day is almost complete. Let the knowledge of this quiet hierarchy settle in your mind as a soft, enduring background, carrying you toward rest. You would not last a single day in the rigidity of the schedule without understanding these subtleties. Yet even the observation alone is a comfort, a lullaby of history and care. Imagine yourself walking through the monastery once more, this time guided into spaces of occasional ceremony, where the rhythm of life shifts subtly to accommodate both devotion and the quiet presence of those with worldly influence. Let your steps be soft and your breathing slow, matching the pace of this part of the day where attention and care guide every movement. The great hall opens before you, a room larger than any cloister chamber, its walls adorned with tapestries depicting biblical scenes. Their colors have softened over centuries, yet they still offer a gentle warmth to the eye, inviting contemplation rather than distraction. Sunlight filters through high windows, falling on the polished floor in gentle stripes, illuminating dust motes that drift like tiny boats on a calm river. Inhale the faint scent of wax, old wood, and herbs pressed into the cloth of the tapestries. Let your senses settle on this quiet grandeur in this hall. The abbot might meet with visiting nobles, a slow and deliberate procession of courtesy and ritual. Picture a lord entering his robe slightly heavier than yours, its fabric embroidered with symbols of his family and status. He bows or kneels according to protocol, and the abbot acknowledges with a gentle nod or measured word. Every motion is unhurried, deliberate, respectful. Allow your mind to follow the subtle interplay of power and piety, the calm tension that exists when devotion and privilege meet. Seating is arranged with care. Wooden chairs, taller and more solid than the benches in the refectory, are aligned along the hall. Cushions, small and firm, provide gentle relief. The abbot takes his place at the head, hands folded or resting lightly on the table, posture straight but relaxed. The nobles and abbots share conversation not as entertainment, but as meditation, discussing donations, construction projects, or guidance for the community. Every word is chosen, measured, and held softly in the air. Now imagine a small table nearby, where food is prepared for a modest feast. Perhaps there is bread, cheese, stewed vegetables, and fruit preserved in honey or wine. Taste the aroma in your mind the subtle sweetness of honey, the warmth of freshly baked bread, the earthy note of cooked roots. Yet these meals are not indulgent. They are designed for nourishment and calm pleasure, a gentle acknowledgement of the abundance that patronage can bring. Chew slowly, let the flavors settle in your awareness, and imagine the quiet satisfaction of the monks who prepared the dishes with ritual care. During such gatherings, small rituals mark transitions. A bell may toll softly, calling all to pause and reflect. Candles might be lit or extinguished with measured movements. A noble may offer a token of respect, a bag of grain, a small book, or a finely embroidered cloth. Observe the way these gestures are received, not with exuberance, but with gratitude tempered by calm deliberation. Every act is considered and unhurried. Consider the reading of scripture or a prayer aloud during these occasions. Perhaps a monk stands at a lectern, voice low and steady, words flowing slowly across the hall. Even the most attentive visitor finds themselves drawn into the rhythm. Eyes closing slightly, ears attuned to the soft cadence. The words carry weight, yet their repetition and melodic delivery invite the mind to drift. A lullaby of spiritual reflection wrapped in historical practice. Beyond the hall, the abbot might retreat to his study, a quiet room with shelves lined with books, scrolls, and relics. Sunlight through a single window illuminates parchment and ink in soft pools of light. Here, letters are written slowly, decisions considered carefully, and petitions from the outside world received with measured attention. Imagine the deliberate pace, quill to parchment, hand resting between lines, each stroke deliberate, the mind quiet but alert. The rhythm itself is soothing, a slow unfolding of duty into calm action. Occasionally, a noble may request an audience in this private space. They speak softly, their words chosen with care. The abbot listens, nodding with measured patience. Consider the subtle gestures, a tilt of the head, a pause, the gentle pressure of the fingers against the table. Each nuance communicates thoughtfulness, respect, and the quiet exercise of authority. Let your mind absorb these small details without hurry, letting the calm of measured power settle into your consciousness. Now imagine the abbot walking through the gardens with a visitor, a quiet moment of leisure amidst the regimented day. Paths wind through herbs, vegetables, and fruit trees. Hands brush lightly over leaves, feet trace the stone walkways. There is conversation, yes, but it is slow, deliberate, like the gentle turning of a page. Each plant, each stone, each curve of the garden is noticed, and yet attention is calm, not frantic. The garden becomes a slow sanctuary within the sanctuary as evening approaches. The nobles depart, and the hall empties of footsteps and voices. Candles burn low, casting elongated shadows along the tapestries. The abbot moves quietly to his quarters, sits with a book or scroll, and allows his mind to wander gently over the events of the day. Each decision, each meeting, each small act of leadership has left its mark not as tension or drama, but as quiet reflection. You feel the subtle pulse of life here, slower than the physical labor of the lower monks, but still shaped by structure, duty, and careful awareness. Pause now to notice the textures and sensations, the polished wood of the table, the warmth of candlelight on stone, the softness of a cushion, the gentle scent of herbs and wax. Every small detail contributes to a rhythm of calm observation. Let your awareness drift over the space, noticing without pressing, absorbing without haste. The day is winding to a measured close, each moment a part of a slow, continuous rhythm that comforts and sustains. The final thought settles gently. The abbots and nobles experience the monastery through a lens of responsibility and privilege, a life marked by quiet reflection rather than physical toil. You observe, breathing slowly, sensing the soft cadence of authority, and letting it mingle with the echoes of labor, ritual, and devotion that permeate every stone, every candle, every line of manuscript in this enduring place. As the sun continues its slow descent, imagine walking once more through the monastery, now softened by the gentle glow of late afternoon light. The shadows lengthen, stretching across the stone floors and walls, creating a serene geometry of darkness and warmth. Your breath slows, your shoulders relax further, and your awareness drifts along the subtle motions of the evening within the monastery. The abbot moves through corridors that feel both familiar and sacred. Each step is measured, the sound muted against the stone. Candles are lit, not in haste, but in deliberate procession. Their glow is warm and comforting, reflecting softly on the walls, pooling around corners, and creating pockets of quiet that invite reflection. The air is fragrant with lingering incense, the faint aroma mingling with the natural coolness of the stone. Listen to your breathing. Allow it to harmonize with the soft rhythm of flickering light and distant footsteps. In the private chambers, the abbot may read once again, perhaps a small illuminated text or a letter from a patron. The quill rests lightly in hand, tracing slow, careful strokes across the page. Each letter forms with deliberation, the hand moving with patience, the mind at ease yet attentive. The room is quiet, yet alive with soft textures, the weight of parchment, the smoothness of ink, the subtle warmth of a candle's flame. Allow your mind to rest in these small sensations, noticing each detail without hurry, letting each observation weave a gentle lullaby. Outside, the courtyard is hushed. A visitor might wander through the cloister, feet brushing softly against worn stone. The garden, now shadowed and calm, releases muted fragrance herbs, cooled by evening air. Damp soil exhaling its soft, earthy scent, the faint sweetness of ripening fruit hidden under leaves. The abbots and nobles walk slowly, their conversation subdued, each pause measured and reflective. Picture the sun's final rays illuminating the tips of leaves, the lines of the arches, the gentle curve of stone walls. Let your gaze drift along these forms, absorbing their slow, ordered beauty. Evening prayers draw near. The abbots and visiting nobles join the community in the chapel. Imagine the quiet rustle of robes, the careful settling of bodies onto benches, the muted whisper of pages being turned. The chants begin, soft and steady, a slow refrain that carries throughout the vast space. Each voice blends seamlessly into the others, creating a gentle tide of sound. Let the rhythm of prayer guide your awareness, carrying you away from the sharp edges of wakefulness, encouraging a soft drift toward rest. The meal for the evening is modest but comforting. Picture a wooden plate with warm lentils or beans, a wedge of soft bread, a slice of fruit preserved in honey. The textures are simple, the smoothness of bread, the gentle resistance of softened legumes, the quiet sweetness of fruit. The act of eating becomes meditative, each bite deliberate, each swallow mindful. Conversation is minimal, thoughtful, and respectful. Words are few, allowing the mind to float in the calm repetition of the day's close. After the meal, the abbot may visit the cloister one last time before retiring. The moon casts a pale glow, soft and diffuse, over the stone paths. The arches create pools of shadow and light, the small garden beds faintly outlined in silver. You notice a cat moving silently along a ledge, a soft breeze rustling through leaves. The distant sound of water dripping from a stone basin. Each sound is small but significant, contributing to a gentle symphony of nighttime in the monastery. Imagine the abbot preparing for rest. Candles are extinguished one by one, the glow retreating slowly, leaving only soft shadows. The rooms grow cooler, the air carrying the calm fragrance of herbs and wax. He lays down on a simple yet comfortable bed, folds the blanket carefully, and allows the body to sink into the firmness of the mattress. The day has been long in its quiet rigor. Each moment, each gesture has been deliberate, yet the reward is in the calm, in the mastery of presence. The monastery itself seems to exhale, the day's rhythm settling into a gentle pause. The sounds of movement fade, replaced by distant echoes, a soft creak of wood, the occasional murmur of a monk finishing a task, the slow tick of time measured in shadows rather than clocks. Let your mind drift in harmony with these sounds, imagining the soft alignment of bodies and spaces in shared calm. Finally, the abbot closes his eyes. His thoughts drift across the day, reviewing small details without urgency. A careful gesture, a word spoken, a minor decision made, a brief moment of reflection in the garden. Each memory is soft, each sensation gentle. The repetition of rituals, the measured labor, the quiet companionship of other humans, these fold together into a slow, encompassing rhythm. Let this rhythm fill your mind as you breathe slowly, deeply, and without haste. The last thought lingers softly. The abbots and their noble visitors inhabit a world of subtle privilege, guided by reflection, ritual, and careful attention. They move gently, act deliberately, and rest in the calm order of the monastery. The ordinary monks experience the physical rigor, the abbots, the mental and ceremonial discipline. You observe it all quietly, allowing the contrast, the textures, the subtle nuances of hierarchy and duty to form a soft tapestry in your mind. This tapestry is slow, ordered, comforting, and steady, a perfect companion as you drift toward sleep. Breathe once more. Let the candlelight, the stone walls, the soft rhythm of steps, the gentle scent of herbs, and the quiet weight of duty all become threads weaving through your awareness. Let the world of the monastery, its labor, its devotion, its quiet hierarchy settle into your mind like a gentle lullaby. You would not last a single day within its strict rhythm, yet witnessing it, imagining it, provides a calm, a slow and steady guide toward rest. Now, let us step back from the corridors, the scriptorium, the garden, and the grand halls. Take a deep breath and feel the quiet weight of the day settling over the monastery. Every bell, every chant, every careful movement has left a gentle imprint, not in urgency or drama, but in the soft architecture of habit and ritual. Allow your awareness to gather all of these threads. Picture the stone walls once more. Their cold solidity has held the rhythm of countless days, countless hands, countless quiet breaths. Imagine their presence wrapping around you like a calm blanket, firm yet comforting, each surface smooth from touch, rough from age carries, the echo of movement, footsteps of the novice, the soft rustle of robes, the careful scrape of a quill across parchment. Let these imagined sounds fill your mind gently, like a familiar lullaby. Think now of the gardens, touched first by morning light, and now by moonlight. The herbs and vegetables sway slightly in the night air. A soft wind brushes over leaves, carrying subtle fragrances, the faint sweetness of honeyed fruit, the earthiness of soil, the aromatic note of lavender or rosemary. Breathe in these scents with your imagination. Let them mingle with the calm rhythm of your own breathing. Consider the monk's day once again. The labor, the copying, the tending of the garden, the simple meals, the prayers, they have all flowed in a continuous, measured loop. Each act, though modest, has meaning. A movement of hands, a turn of the head, a word uttered or held quietly. Imagine this rhythm as a slow wave, rising and falling, carrying you gently toward a state of ease. Let your mind drift along its current. Reflect on the abbots and visiting nobles, moving through ceremonies, quiet meetings, and evening rituals. Their life is slower, less physically demanding, but equally shaped by the careful cadence of thought and presence. Every decision, every gesture, every small detail of their privilege is done with calm deliberation. Picture their measured steps, the gentle weight of authority balanced with reflection, the soft glow of candles illuminating their path. Let this serene image blend with the sound of your own heartbeat. Slowing it naturally, inviting rest now, revisit the chapel in your mind. The chants echo softly in your ears, Latin phrases flowing like a river of calm. Each rise and fall of voice, each deliberate pause, is a gentle wave shaping a tranquil sea in your awareness. Imagine kneeling, as you did earlier, feeling the stone beneath you, the robe on your shoulders, the hush that surrounds every motion. You are small in this space, yet fully held by its calm embrace. Let your body and mind sink into this stillness. Remember the meals, the simple bread, the lentils, the modest wine or water. Taste them slowly again in your imagination. The textures, the quiet chewing, the mindful attention each, a meditation on simplicity. The act of nourishment, repeated across the day, becomes a rhythm not only for the body but for the mind. Let each imagined bite be a gentle marker of calm, a steadying pulse in your consciousness. Think of the scriptorium one last time. The quill rests in the hand, the parchment smooth beneath the fingertips. The letters are carefully drawn, each stroke deliberate, each curve forming a pattern of quiet artistry. Imagine the ink drying slowly, the faint scent of iron and gum on your fingers. Let this repetition of small, precise action drift through your thoughts, like soft waves lapping at the edges of your awareness. Now, allow your mind to gather all the sensations of the day, the cool stone underfoot, the warmth of candlelight, the gentle rustle of robes, the soft murmur of distant voices, the rhythm of bells marking passage, the calm discipline of labor, the serenity of gardens, the quiet dignity of the abbot. Let them blend into a single, gentle mosaic, wrapping your consciousness in slow, soothing patterns. Breathe slowly. Inhale the calm. Exhale any remaining tension. The monastery is quiet. You are quiet. Your body knows the rhythm. Your mind has followed the slow current of routine, ritual, and observation. The day is complete. You have walked its corridors, touched its stones, heard its voices, and felt its care. All that remains now is the soft, steady descent into sleep. As your awareness drifts further, picture the light of dawn already resting in memory, soft and patient. Each day repeats, yet each day leaves you a little calmer, a little more at peace. The thoughts of duty, privilege, and labor dissolve into gentle abstraction. Let the world of the monastery fade to soft shadow, and let your mind settle completely. Finally, imagine lying in your own space, the echoes of stone halls, chants, and soft steps lingering faintly, now only as a comforting hum. You would not last a single day in this world, fully measured and disciplined, but witnessing it, imagining it, allows you to glide into rest with the serenity of countless centuries flowing gently through your mind. Let your body relax fully. Let each breath deepen naturally, slow and steady. Let the patterns of labor, prayer, reflection, and calm authority weave together in your consciousness like a soft, warm quilt. There is nothing more to do. The day is complete, and now you are ready to drift, ready to rest, ready to let sleep carry you gently onward. Good night.